everybody. We have been featuring entrepreneur stories through the lens of the social contract for the last few months, and it's just been so much fun. We're continuing on with that theme all the way into the new year. January and February are nearly already booked. If you know any other founders who would like to share their story, you can contact myself or Amber Rowden, our community storyteller, on our Slack channel or LinkedIn or email, however you want to ping us. But today we have the founder and chief executive officer of Flahmingo, Taran Kainth. I hope I'm saying your last name correctly, Taran.
Yep.
He grew up feeling like there wasn't enough investing information available to the public. So after realizing other Canadians also felt this way, he began Flahmingo Investments, Inc. Flahmingo is on a mission to enable financial freedom and empowerment for Canadians by breaking down barriers to investing. And Flahmingo had an exciting funding announcement this year as well. I'm sure Taran will share all of this exciting information. And feel free to put your questions in the chat and keep the conversation going there. We'll have plenty of time for Q&A where you can also unmute and have conversations with our featured founder. And later in the hour, we'll head into breakout rooms to chat more in small groups. And then you can also get your community announcements queued up for 12:55, where we'll do that portion of the hour. So Flahmingo, Taran, I'll pass it over to you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Bridget, for having me on today. Hello, everyone. I'm excited to be able to share more about the exciting work that we are doing at Flahmingo, a little bit about my story and background and essentially how we got here. I was going to prepare some slides, but then I thought, let's just keep the conversation more raw and natural and not have you guys sit through a presentation. I just thought it'd be nice to just have a discussion more so where I'm just sharing a little bit of the interesting things that I've been able to learn over the last little while. So my name is Taran. I am the CEO and co-founder at Flahmingo. Flahmingo is a digital investment platform that enables Canadians to begin investing for as little as $1 into 2,000 US fractional equities. We use a unique model called pies and slices, where every single stock or ETF that you love becomes a slice of your pie. Essentially, you're making up your own ETFs where you can add over 100 different companies and you can partition off your portfolio into creating almost 10 different ETFs, and you automate your investing into those various companies that you've created and ETFs that you built up. So about Flahmingo, about myself. So originally born and raised in Montreal. And I think early on from a young age, I was fortunate enough to have my dad be a pretty entrepreneurial dude. I was able to learn a lot of entrepreneurship, but in a very untraditional manner from him growing up. So, parents originally from India, born and raised there. And my mom came to Canada, I think it's been probably over 45 years now. And when she came over, she only did a school till grade 10. And, she was a working mom. And, I was able to really get the grittiness and my, perseverance from her growing up. I, really attribute a lot of my learnings from an early age to her. And then for my dad, he had done an MBA, but he didn't speak English. So it wasn't really useful back in the 80s to have an MBA, but not be able to speak English. So he came to Canada and did what every other immigrant does, hustled and grinded to be able to really make ends meet and do whatever it took to be successful, right? So he started off as a pizza delivery driver, and a few years later, he opened his own pizza delivery company. That was his first business that he kind of started. And then he got into the trucking industry, was a long haul truck driver across US and Canada for I think about 10 years, and opened his own fleet of trucks. It was doing great. And then he got into the clothing industry somehow and opened a clothing factory with a few partners. And back in 07, 08, Pops lost the majority of his net worth in the US dollar crash. So I think it was nine at the time. So there was a big fundamental shift in our family in regards to the way things were running. It was a lot more mundane. It was a lot, there was a lot of stress. And I think growing up as a kid and being a 9-year-old, I was so curious to figure out what had happened. And that's where really my eyes opened up into understanding the lack of financial literacy that plagues the globe, right? Not even Canada, but I think the globe. I think there's just such a lack of access to information, and it's made things very complicated when they're not so complicated. And I think the average Canadian has a university degree, but little do we learn about finance. when you go to university, I can, speak because I just went through university. Peers of mine that are even in finance actually don't know how TFSs, RSPs, mortgages, all these things work. And you jump into the work field and you're expected to know, hey, these are 100 different things that you have to know, but the foundational elements aren't there. So I was fortunate enough that I moved over to Calgary, and at the time it was the oil and gas boom, and everyone was coming over here. And so when we moved over here, I had the opportunity of coming across a program in junior high called Junior Achievement. So Junior Achievement, essentially, if you've heard of Junior Achievement before, mandated is to help create financial literacy and empowerment for younger generations through programming that they have. And I was fortunate enough that I think now it's almost 11 years back, they had a simulation trading platform, and they would go into schools and they would ask students if they're interested. And I heard about, investing before, and, I heard about, through my dad, how much he hated all the stuff that happened. So I had this chip on my shoulder that, hey, I want to figure out what this thing is. I want to know what made my parents so angry, and, what changed my family 3 years back. So started, simulation investing to these random companies. He gets fictitious $100,000, and it was I think one of the most revolutionary experiences of my life. It just changed and really enabled me to be where I am today, where I started investing into companies that I knew. I heard about this guy called Peter Lynch, and he's like, use your eyes and ears as your sounding board. Great. So I started going around saying, okay, well, what am I doing? What do I use every day? What can I potentially invest into? And so Netflix was a big company at the time. It was, IPOing, they were growing. And so this was right before House of Cards. I remember investing fictitious $10,000 in Netflix, and great, it went up. Then invest into Amazon, then invest into all of these cool companies. And for me, the mere fact that I could own companies that I interact with every single day, and I can actually, enable myself through learning, and I can take these interesting risks. I was just enthralled, and I was hooked. So I think I placed top 5 in Alberta, was competing against kids all the way up to high school. And it was a really cool experience being in grade 8. So then from there, from the ages of 12 to 16, I ended up just doing simulation trading, and I started to put in some real dollars through my dad's RSP at the age of 16. But throughout those few years, I was just dabbling into other things. I was really into gaming at the time, and PS4 was just coming out. So we ended up creating a Facebook page when Facebook was just up and coming at the time. So created a Facebook page called PS4 versus Xbox One, and co-founded another one with one of my school friends called Call of Duty Memes. We were able to grow a community of 150,000 people in a span of 3 months through affiliate marketing. And at the age of 13, we were making, I think, $1,000 a week through affiliate link marketing, where we would just paste a thing with a company called BISO at the time, where companies like Sony and all these guys wanted to, advertise through Facebook at the time, and BISO would connect us and we would get 10 cents per click. So it's a really cool experience. Page got hacked, and kept on going. Then started to, just dabble more into interesting things. I took a family trip to India, and I was in Delhi, and I had the opportunity to go to it's called the Chor Bazaar. It's called the Steelers Market. You can get pretty much anything you want there. And my uncle took me to this very shady shop in the bazaar there. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? So he took me up to this place where they were selling replica products. So you can get knockoffs of Louis Vuitton, Rolexes, everything. So I saw an opportunity there. And I'm like, I know people that are in high school, my age, that would love this stuff. And even if I told them that it was fake, they would love it. So ended up buying, I emptied out my suitcase, I think I was working at Superstore at the time, had a few $1,000s, emptied out my suitcase and bought replica products, brought them back here, and sold them for 10x of profit within I think a week, and then started a digital e-commerce business. And, I always told people that they're replica products, but they're genuine. And then I got robbed at gunpoint twice. Once at Chinook Mall and once at a C train station, and then I decided that maybe this isn't my calling. I should do something different. Fortunate enough that I ended up going to the University of Calgary and studied 2 years of economics, and at the same time I was still doing simulation trading. And right when I hit 16, my dad's like, "Hey, just take over my RSP. I'm not having great luck." So he gave me $5,000, and I've been able to turn that into a sizable nest egg for him. But started investing a lot more, and started to just really entrench myself in the financial market, started looking at financial statements and started to understand all of these things with performance and all this stuff. I'm like, wow, I love this. I wish I could do something, but I felt trapped because there simply were not great tools in Canada at my disposal. And I started looking at other countries. I'm like, wow, the UK has so much happening in fintech. There's Robinhood in the US and so many cool companies. Why is Canada lacking? And I always had this in the back of my head as I was going through university. So I studied economics for 2 years, and economics was great, but it wasn't my, I wasn't happy when I was doing it. And so I took this GPA booster class. It was called NT201, or entrepreneurship, intro to entrepreneurship. And someone told me, hey man, you want an easy A plus, like just go take the class. So I took it. It was my second year of university, took the class with the professor, Hussein Madvi. Hussein was a great guy and really opened up my eyes to the innovator's lens. And I was able to double down into figuring out this weird stuff that I've been doing for years is actually called entrepreneurship, and startups and Silicon Valley and all these things are this cool ecosystem that I was never exposed to. So, throughout 6 months, we ended up, creating this group project, and we ended up taking this idea of having an Airbnb for everything, and did it for 6 months with my group, and no one wanted to take the idea forward. And I said, hey guys, I think there's real merit here. So that's where we started our first company. It was called Shario. It was a peer-to-peer platform that turned from Airbnb for everything into an Airbnb for photographers and creatives. And at the same time, I was still trading, I was still doing all these things, but I really wanted to learn what this entrepreneurship thing was. So I really jumped in, neck first deep in, and made all the mistakes that a founder can. Did not validate, and started to create a product, had a few $1,000s from investing, took that on my TFSA, started building a prototype, did not talk to any customers, spent 2 months finding a name, a .com domain, made business cards, t-shirts, found a co-founder, did all that stuff. And I'm like, wow, we have a real business. Continued doing that. And 6 months in, we started pitching at pitch competitions. We're like, wow, we can get money from pitch competitions for free. Awesome. So I went on this train of, what I call like vanity metrics that you can get stuck up in as a founder, where we started getting articles posted about us, and the community was talking about us. And we look back, we're like, are we actually still doing what we wanted to do? No, we weren't. But hey, people are talking about us. It seems like there might be a business potential. Still haven't gotten a product to market. We've, invested now almost $25,000 into it, and like, great, okay. What do we continue doing? And we started to then validate. When I moved universities over at Mount Royal University, I was fortunate enough to get to mentorship from Ray DePaul, and he's probably one of my closest mentors today still. And if anyone knows Ray knows how much of a how much of a champion he is with the community. So Ray challenged me. He said, Taran, you do not have a business here. You haven't gotten a customer. You haven't gotten anything to market. What's your validation? I said, Ray, I've made t-shirts, man. Come on. You're telling me I'm not a real business? I own a .com domain. What do you mean I'm not a real business, right? So I ended up going through Mount Royal's entrepreneurship program and spent a year there. And 8 months later, pitched at Launchpad, which is their premier pitch competition, won 35 grand, and then went through the Platform Calgary Accelerator. Now this is when things started getting serious, right? I started to venture out of the Mount Royal community, and Platform really pushed me. Like, Taran, go get sales, go get revenue, go do things. And I'm still making the same mistakes that classic founders make, right? So I was fortunate enough that spent 2 years running that business, and ultimately ended up failing. But I was able to really take the battle scars and the lessons, and really input that experience into my next startup. Shout out to Bow Valley University for taking me down to Silicon Valley at the end of my startup journey through Draper University. I spent 2 months down in San Francisco, being mentored through the Draper University program, and I was exposed to just the thrill and the buzz down there. And I realized that my calling wasn't to run a Airbnb for everything, but I wanted to do something bigger, more audacious, that had meaning, and really stem down into a problem that I knew was unique. And it was financial literacy for me. At the time, Robinhood had just opened up their waitlist for fractional shares, and Charles Schwab's and Fidelity had just gone into commission-free investing, and had millions of people porting over. And I knew there was an opportunity to do something in Canada, because no one was doing anything. I had used Questrade for 8 years, and I knew how interesting of an experience it was. And there simply wasn't the knowledge and information. And I came back in December of 2019, and I closed the last business down. and started to look at, hey, what can we do seriously in this space? And now we're going from an Airbnb business, which is highly unregulated, to a highly regulated business. So I pitched my first co-founder, Gio. He was just selling his last startup to a YCLM company. It was in the crypto space, and he was looking for what's next. And we started hacking away and working at the business, and have now been working on Flamingo over the last 24 months with the core mission of helping Canadians be more financially literate. And the way we do so is through an educational platform called Flamingo Central, where you're able to learn the A to Z's of the stock market through bite-sized video. We genuinely see the next generation of investors being Gen Z millennials really learning through short form. TikTok is massive. We have one of the largest followings on TikTok across Canada. We've garnered over 750,000 views on our videos. That has really allowed us to move forward our wait list. We almost have, I think, 2,700 people that are waiting for the Flamingo application today. And it's been a grind of a journey, but the biggest thing that I can say is, the thing I took away from my time down in the Valley was, ask yourself, why are you an entrepreneur? And if your answer is, I can't do anything else on this planet, then rethink it, because this is a very hard journey. You're gonna go through peaks and troughs, and you're gonna go through highs and lows like you've never felt before. And there's still gonna always be those vanity metrics, but in the end of the day, the fundamentals of the business still stay. You need a product to market. You need to be generating revenue. And still, we're launching a product in Q1 of 2022, and we're on the cusp there. I made the same mistakes with my last company, and I've been fortunate that I've been able to recognize those same mistakes and know what we need to do to be able to execute excellence. So, my biggest takeaway is really double down into the community. I cannot begin to thank all of the different partners, all of the community that really helped me get where I am today, whether it's Platform, Mount Royal, UFC, Bow Valley, Rainforest community. Like, I've just been so fortunate, and I think I was lucky. I was a student. I'll play the student card often, right? I would just be like, hey, I'm a university student and would love to sit down with you. And I just networked with as many people possible. And in my 2 years of running the first company, I had built this kind of war chest of network of individuals that I knew, but I never called upon them. They needed my help. I would always come through. I would always be willing to give it forward first. And then when I needed to ask for something, I knew that those people would help me out. And I think that's a massive thing that I've learned, is your network is your net worth in the end of the day. So treat them like you would treat a plant. Right? You need to water it every day. You need to give it sunlight. You need to check in with people. You need to be genuine, right? Because people will catch BS. And in the end of the day, with technology and everything, you can catch BS. We can catch people that are fake, right? So when it comes down to asking yourself why you're doing what you're doing, your why has to be so strong, because these peaks and troughs hurt. They hurt a lot. And when it comes to it, the wins are amazing as well. You get a dopamine kick like you never get from anything else. So when it comes down to it, you really need to ground yourself and entrench yourself and ask, why am I doing this? And for us, we know that financial literacy is a problem. I know that people like my dad are still going through the same circles. And so our goal is to help 1 million Canadians initially, and then, longer term goal is to have global ambitions to create a phenomenal business. At the same time, looking at having the best company on this planet, making sure we take care of our employees, our stakeholders. And over the last 24, it hasn't been 24 months, I think 22 months now, we've learned a lot. We've been through lawsuits, we've raised capital, we've had founder disputes, we've done the 9 yards again, but this time around we were a lot more ready and not a lot more enabled, and we were able to lean in on the people that were around us. And when I look back at Flamingo, we raised $1.9 million. We've been fortunate enough that we have amazing investors that have helped us and continue to help us. We're raising another bridge round, and we continue to raise a seed round. And it's a very capital extensive business when you're in the fintech space because of regulatory requirements. But at the same time, the stakes are a lot higher. And I think I'm just fortunate, and I look back and I want to thank everyone in this community as well to just pay it forward, right? If someone has helped you, really double down into taking out time for someone else, because who knows what value you can get out of conversations. And I've been fortunate enough that I have a few students that I mentor as well, and the amount of learnings that I'm able to take away from them and actually input within my business is massive, because you start to get this tunnel vision when you're trying to focus on this goal. So you need to open that up and be able to really allow it so that you're able to double down. And in the end of the day, the biggest takeaway I had from my first company is startups are a team sport. It's definitely massive undertaking, and one person can't do it, two people can't do it. You need a village to grow a community, right? And the startup is the same way. You need people to help you, and the way that I like to bring in people, and it's a very easy thing. And if you guys haven't, you don't know what this is, reach out to the team at Platform. They have this really cool thing called the skills matrix. Pretty much sit down for 30 minutes to an hour. You say, what are the skill sets I have? What are the skill sets I need in my business? What are the things I'm lacking? And every time we look to add on someone on our team, we look back and say, hey, I need someone technical because I don't have this. We need someone in legal, someone in compliance. And this is the way that you start, building in complementary individuals that really help your business. And so with Flamingo now, we are 30 people across 5 countries. We have teams in India, Colombia, Nigeria, Egypt, Rome, and Canada. Actually, I think that's 6. Oh, wow. By the end of next year, we're projecting to be 100 people. We're going to get product into market in early Q1 and are really doubling down into building the best investment platform here in Canada, and then having a global vision as we do so. So that's a little bit about myself. I just shared more about my background, and would love to answer any questions about the actual startup journey. It's an interesting experience, first time founder, the first time raising capital, raising almost $2 million pre-product was an interesting experience, going around and, being able to really pitch a vision. And, interesting enough, I would say I'm in an industry where it's very much male dominated, a lot older. Being someone with a turban who's brown skinned is a very big, interesting thing. And for me, it actually makes me even more enthralled that we're able to build change. Our company is over 80%, ethnically diverse individuals, and we're going to continue making strides. And if anyone's looking to work at a great company, we'll be hiring early Q2. So look out for us. And if you're not on our wait list yet, sign up for Flahmingo at flahmingo.com, and be ready to have an amazing experience once we get product into market.
Thanks, Taran. I think it's been thrown in the chat a few times now, so you can dig in there and find it if you haven't already. I just have to make an observation that sometimes the most impactful presentations from my perspective, personally anyway, are not flashy, not full of slides and tours and all the things. It's just a real authentic story. So thank you very much for sharing that. I think it really resonates. I can just see people's faces. It's really, and because there's no slides, I can see everybody's faces and you can see it really resonating. So thanks for that. We'll turn it over to some questions. They are starting to roll in. So Tommy wants to know, where do you source all the information around financial regulatory info when working in fintech?
Yeah, there is no website, nothing that you can do that'll give you everything. The way that we learned was through the community, and it's really interesting. I started to reach out to people that I knew within my first, kind of network for coffees initially at the start, and started to ask people, hey, do you know how to start a broker dealer? And everyone said no, but hey, I know this person. So we started to meet secondary connections. So the first 2 to 3 months of us starting the business was just all learning. About 5 connections in, we met the regional head of the Toronto Stock Exchange, and as Burke Suman, he's one of our advisors. Burke ended up helping us out, through another tertiary connection. We met, his name's Stephen Baget, amazing professor at Mount Royal, who ended up introducing us to the Alberta Securities Commission. And so it was really a network where we started to meet people, and we Googled as much as we could, but the information simply wasn't readily available. So we started to go and have conversations, and then it came down to having amazing legal counsel. We're fortunate enough to have Gowlings work with us, and they worked with us pro bono for the first year, and have continued to really help us as our business grew. Having amazing legal counsel in the fintech space is important. They guided us through a lot of the experience as well. So yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have a black and white answer for you where to get information, but that's how our experience was.
Awesome. Hannah wants to know, how do you make money? What's the business model there?
Yeah, there's various ways that we make money. So the traditional practice for why commission-free investing is possible in the US is because of a practice called payment for order flow. Whether payment for order flow is good or bad, I can't, I'm legally not allowed to provide investment advice and comment on, but it began from Bernie Madoff. So if that says anything, that's an interesting takeaway. But they're able to subsidize revenue through allowing people to buy order flow. In Canada, that practice is illegal. So the way we make money money is kind of three-pronged. One is through foreign exchange fees. We charge foreign exchange on every dollar that's traded through the platform. We hold US dollars, so you're able to keep your US dollars, and it's a one-time fee that you're able to pay once you buy, and then once you decide to liquidate your assets. Second, we make money off of the uninvested cash that sits in users' accounts. So our custodian pays us a nominal interest on cash that sits in our users' accounts. And third, we have a premium offering called Flamingo Plus, where we allow a plethora of features where users are able to double down and have an amazing experience and get this interesting offering. From there, later down the road, we'll also be going into margin trading as a low-cost line of credit. We have an interesting B2B offering that we're going to spin out at the end of 2022. It's a proprietary compliance software that we built out for broker dealers. So there's a lot of ways to make money even without charging commissions in the space. Peter, you put up your hand.
Thanks for this authentic conversation. I appreciate it. By the way, Bernie Madoff died in jail, so a scary business, hey?
Sure.
Anyway, what I was going to ask is, your journey is interesting. You had to obviously thrive on dopamine. Cortisol is the opposite of that, by the way. That's what makes you worry and get nervous. But when did you stop, or when you talk to people, how often do you think they were telling you the truth and listening to your idea and telling you it was a great idea, and then they kind of like just ghosted away off into the oblivion and never talk to you again?
It depends on what company you're asking for. If you're asking for a first company, we started validating after about 1.5 years, which is probably our biggest mistake. We would sit down with photographers and creatives and ask them if they would use our product. We got about 15 to 20 transactions that we did once the product was live, but there simply wasn't enough pickup. But we had 100-something people that we spoken with that were interested in our platform. So our conversion was sub 5%, probably. I think 250 people we spoke with. But with this business, I think it was a little bit different, where we didn't go out and sell. We started posting on TikTok, and once we started to get views on our videos through educating people just started to sign up on our wait list. And so we have a few thousand people now on our wait list. I would say there's an interesting question that you asked there, and I think it's another classic startup mistake is you ask people what they want, they're going to tell you exactly what you want to hear, right? So you have to find ways to validate without doing the, hey, will you buy my product? Whether it's a landing page test, whether you're going to do a A/B test on an ad, whether you go out and try to do a Kickstarter. We did a few of those interesting things at the start, and we had some massive pickup, and we knew that, hey, this is going to work. There's demand for it, and we've continued to see that demand as we continue to push out our product and get it out to more people.
Awesome. A quick question: how did you arrive at, or maybe not, how did you arrive at the name Flahmingo?
Interesting. So first company, I spent 2 months finding a name. My goal was to have a .com domain. It was the worst spelled name ever. SHARYEO, Shario. You would never spell it that way. But it's the only name I could find after 2 months of searching. So with this company, we said, hey, we're going to spend 48 hours finding a name. If we can't get a name, we're going to start a numbered company and just go from there, right? So we started to just look, we had 48 hours to do it over the weekend, my co-founder and I, in February, when we started the company officially back in 2020. And we started to go through random names. And by the end of it, we're like, gosh, we're probably not going to get anywhere. And I was at Mucho Burrito picking up a burrito, and I called my co-founder and came across a company called Alpaca, which is one of our partners today. But they are they have a black and yellow branding, and I'd never heard of an animal associated within the fintech industry. And I'm like, or even with any bank or anything, I'm like, well, these guys are so weird, but they're so cool. So Gio says to me, hey, why don't we call ourselves Flahmingo? I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. Search at flahmingo.com. It's a hotel down in Vegas, and that name was taken. And then he's like, let's make ourselves different. Let's call ourselves Flahmingo with an H. So it really comes down to, with our branding and marketing as well, is, every investor is unique and every investor is different. Flamingos are some of the most unique and agile birds in the world, and your investing experience through Flamingo is going to be the same. That's why Flamingo is spelled with an H. We're even unique than all the other flamingos out there. So yeah, really, it wasn't nothing crazy. It wasn't like I was riding a flamingo one day, or I had a pet name. No, nothing like that. it's just a cool name, something, trendy, buzzy in our industry, and, really allows us to double into our branding. Pink, bright, interesting is what we're trying to go for.
I feel like the age demographic you're after to have a thing with flamingos. I'm too old, but back to the testing of idea. Gary's shaking his head. Testing of ideas. Craig Elias once in a blue moon has David Bland from the US come in and does testing business ideas workshop. I attended it once, and it's a really great way to test ideas without any financial impact to your own wallet. But check out the book, Testing Business Ideas, as well. I can't keep up with the questions here. I'm just too interested as well. Mark wants to know, how does someone who is only interested in engineering and invention communicate with someone who is only interested in finance? I'm not sure if that's something you touched on, but
yeah. So I'll give you guys our truth. How did I meet my co-founder?
Okay.
Gio is one of the most technical savvy people. He has massive ADHD. He cannot keep a conversation unless he's on Adderall. He will sit down with you and tell you our entire tech stack inside out. He's a very, very much, he can talk to people, but when it comes down to really talking fundamentals of a business, all this stuff, like, he will get bored and fall asleep. And him and I met through the Mount Royal pitch competition, and he was pitching his business, amazing idea, but the delivery wasn't there. And we both knew, I'm like, hey, for whatever business forward, I know I'll need a technical person. And I know that, I'm great at selling and I can do the other 9 yards of it. So if you are an engineer, most likely, and this is what it comes down to, is like, Y Combinator 9 out of 10 of the times will not take a founding team that doesn't have a co-founder. Go out there and find someone that's just as passionate as you. Again, like, this is a team sport. From the get-go, I would say, really double down into finding someone that can complement skill sets that you don't have. And if talking finance, all these things, is something that that you're not good at, because as a founder, you can be jack of all trades, but master of none. And what it comes down to is you're going to do everything, but you slowly want to start bringing in people that can do that job better, right? So as a founder, maybe you do 50% of it, but then someone that can do 8/10 of it or 9/10 of it better, go find that person, convince them to come on board. And the same way you're going to try to convince your customers, your investors, whatever that looks like, convince your team that whatever you're working on is worthwhile, right? And if you can't do that, then that doubles down into you asking yourself, why are you doing what you're doing, right? You should know your problem inside out. And it comes down to, once you have that person that can complement your skill set, whether that be pitching investors, whatever, now you can focus on what you love. And Gio only focuses on the product. He hates it. He hates pitching. We've pitched over 250 investors, and he was in those meetings and would just like sit there and continue coding. And the investors were like, oh, wow, you're taking a lot of notes. He's like, no, I'm just developing right now. So it's a team sport.
You are blessed. Team sport. That's a social contract value. I feel like you were just like paid to present here today, Taran. We never do that here, by the way. One more question we'll take from Marnie around why you chose the geographical markets you did, and then we'll head into breakout rooms for smaller conversations. I think that's the question. Unmute, Marnie, if I'm wrong. Can't find it now. Yeah, that's it. She said, how do you choose target markets? Why wrong?
How do you choose target markets? So initially we're launching in Western Canada. Regulatory framework only allows us to launch province to province. You have to have certain licensing. We're in the process of finalizing our IROC brokerage license. It can take 24, 36 months, 12 months if you're extremely capitalized and you have an experienced team from the get-go. We chose Canada because, this is our neighborhood. This is our home target. Next, we're actually looking at going into India. That's going to be in 2023 or later end of 2023 when you raise the Series B. The goal would be to double down into that market because we see there being massive potential. We're from those markets. We see there being a technical revolution, and fintech is merging. So you need to look at market factors. You need to know where your customers are. And with my previous business, Calgary simply did not have a big enough photography ecosystem, nor does Canada overall in videography, but places like LA, Germany, New York, they have that. But I wasn't looking to launch in those markets. So it comes down to really understanding where your customer is and who your customer is, right? Sometimes there might be certain geographic locations that are hyper concentrated with more customer sets. And so if you want to get into those markets, you need to make sure that you're focusing energy and time there.
Awesome. Okay, we are going to there's some more questions, but we'll head into some breakout rooms for some smaller group conversation. I'm also going to launch the poll because I forgot to, so I don't know if that'll stick around though. No, I'm not. Let's just head into breakouts. We'll probably have time to do 2 or 3, so the rooms will rotate. Please introduce yourself within the room, chat about it, the presentation today, chat about something you're looking for in your own journey and innovation, or how you can potentially give back to the others in the group. So I'll open those now. I don't have Amber with me today, can you tell? Got to swing all the tech stuff. Here we go. Right now, so we will welcome everyone back to the room. Welcome back, everybody. If you didn't have an opportunity to finish your conversation, I'm sure you were all rudely interrupted by those breakouts ending, but please feel free to keep connecting on our Slack or on LinkedIn or however you choose to do so. We're going to head into some community announcements. First, I'll just say a big thank you to Taran. That was a fantastic story. We really appreciated your authenticity and just all of your success. You are, as someone DM'd me, on fire. So keep it up. It's awesome. I just want to say congratulations to Al and the Libby podcast volunteers, because they found themselves on as the top 3 lists, or on the top, 10 list. Al, you tell us. I don't know. I'm butchering it.
Yeah, it was the top 20 innovation podcasts, and we were number 4. So that's kind of cool.
It is freaking incredible is what it is. I love it.
Well done.
Grassroots, community-led, volunteer-led, mostly due to Al and all of his hard work, but many others in the community too. So incredible news. I just realized in checking the calendar that next week is the last Lunch Without Lunch of 2021. And I say that with almost tears in my eyes. I can't believe it. How on earth is that the time of the year? We are canceling December 22nd, just getting really close to the holidays. We were going to see about doing just an in-person casual gathering in Calgary for those who aren't comfortable doing so. That's totally cool. And we're not even 100% sold. We're gauging interest through this link that I just put in there with the words in person. Not the clearest, but you get it. If you have interest in joining us, just throw your interest there and we'll make an announcement as to where we'll be meeting if there's interest. If not, we'll just cancel December 22nd. See you in the new year. Any other community announcements from the group?
Thank you, Bridget, for hosting an amazing year. It's been great to be part of the team, and wow, every week, pretty awesome.
Yeah, thank you, Gail, and everybody in Edmonton on the steering committee there. It's maybe not always clear to the broader audience. There's an awesome volunteer steering committee in Edmonton, and then Amber and I down here in Calgary, but we're all working cohesively to increase the range of the rainforest movement. So thanks to all. I just blown away that it's December, and happy birthday to Peter.
Can I have a quick announcement? We have Krista Malden, and we have a bit of a conflict because next Wednesday, we have the mental health event, mental wellness event. So we've got about 120 tickets or so sold now, and we're still selling a few tickets. If anybody can't afford it and wants to go, let me know. I'll probably buy you a ticket. But I don't want to compete with Lunch Without a Lunch, Bridget. So I don't know how we're going to do that. Maybe we can dip into the mental wellness event from Lunch Without a Lunch. Who knows, right?
Yeah, Krista actually sent me something and said, we should have thought to do that in advance, but didn't happen. And Amber's already queued up Stagehand startup to join us next week. So everyone just be where you gotta be. And
I'm sorry, could you repeat that event? I'm sorry, I just kind of missed it.
I just poked it into the chat there, and it's a mental wellness event on Wednesday next week, so the 15th. It's an all-day event. And you can click on that site and pick up some tickets there, and it'll be like I don't know how many people will have out eventually, but maybe 140, the most positive mental wellness focused individual. So if you're looking for good spirit and rhythm, right there, it'll be an all-day event.
That's awesome.
Got it.
Fantastic. Well, we keep this room open if anyone wants to stick around and keep mingling virtually. Aaron, not a bad idea for January. We'll probably look at doing one Lunch Without Lunch per month in person once the Innovation Center's in full swing. We can do it elsewhere too. SADT has offered their space on numerous occasions. So we'll see about that in the new year. For now, it's virtual, it's more inclusive. And honestly, the feedback we get every week is that it's easier for people to make it work virtually. So we'll see what the new year brings as far as our good, bad friend COVID-19 has in store for us. Yeah, not our good friend. Okay, thank you, Taran. If anyone wants to head into breakouts, we might just do that.